She was awake. I had no choice.
On the night of May 3, 2007, the calm of a family resort in Praia da Luz in southern Portugal was shattered by an event that would soon make headlines across the globe. Madeleine McCann, a 3-year-old British girl, vanished from her bedroom while sleeping, leaving behind a silence that would never be filled. Within hours, what was supposed to be an ordinary vacation turned into the beginning of one of the most publicized child disappearance cases in modern history. Madeleine's face, with her large eyes and curious expression, traveled the world on posters, magazine covers, TV programs, and internet pages. But the more familiar her image became, the more distant the truth seemed. The case exposed police errors, cross-border miscommunication, controversial theories, and an unprecedented media storm, while her parents, torn between grief and suspicion, clung to hope. This is the portrait of a mystery still unsolved, an enigma that put Europe on alert, mobilized massive search efforts, and sparked theories ranging from the tragic to the conspiratorial. Before we begin, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments, do you believe Madeleine McCann is still alive? Madeleine Beth McCann was born on May 12, 2003, in Leicester, England, into a family that embodied a typical British middle-class life. Daughter of Kate and Gerry McCann, she an anesthetist, he a cardiologist. Maddie was the eldest of 3 children. From an early age, she charmed everyone with her lively, curious, and sensitive personality. She had green-blue eyes and a unique mark in her right iris that made her unmistakable. Her parents described Madeleine as a loving child, full of energy and deeply affectionate with her younger twin siblings, Sean and Amelie. The family valued routine, outdoor play, and quiet time together. Maddie loved painting, playing with her favorite toys, and listening to bedtime stories. Like any child, she had no sense of the dangers of the real world. She was protected, surrounded by love, and in her parents' view, perfectly safe. In April 2007, the McCanns traveled to Portugal with a group of friends and their young children, 9 adults and 8 kids in total. Their destination was Praia da Luz, a quiet coastal village known for its scenic beauty and family-friendly resorts. For the McCanns, it was their first international trip with all 3 children, a chance to unwind and enjoy some family fun. Their days followed a simple rhythm: beach in the morning, pool in the afternoon, dinner with friends at night. The adults would gather each evening at the tapas restaurant inside the resort complex, while the children slept in the nearby apartments just meters away. Kate and Gerry believed they were close enough to monitor them with regular check-ins. It felt safe, it felt normal. But that sense of normalcy surrounding little Madeleine wouldn't last. In just a few days, her image would move from family photo albums to international headlines. And the bright-eyed girl who loved princess stories would become the center of one of the most haunting criminal mysteries of the 20s. On the night of May 3, 2007, the McCanns followed the routine they had kept throughout their holiday. Around 8:30 p.m., they put their 3 children to bed in apartment 5A of the Ocean Club Resort, locked the door, and walked to the tapas restaurant about 50 meters away to join their friends. Every 20 to 30 minutes, one of the adults would leave the table to check on the sleeping children. At 10:00 p.m., Kate McCann entered the apartment and found the twins' cribs undisturbed, but Madeleine's bed was empty. The bedroom window was open, the curtains swayed in the breeze, and Madeleine was gone. In a matter of minutes, panic swept through the resort. Gerry rushed to join the search, while Kate shouted for help, crying out the words that would become symbolic of the case. "They've taken her." What had started as a routine check had now become a missing persons crisis. The local police were called, but the initial response was slow and poorly coordinated. The apartment was not properly sealed off, people came and went freely, and potential evidence was contaminated or lost. It took days for cadaver dogs to be brought in, and no immediate alerts were issued at border checkpoints. The critical early hours of the investigation were wasted. Initial theories ranged from an abduction for sexual exploitation to international child trafficking, or even a botched burglary that escalated. But no solid leads emerged. Only one key eyewitness account stood out: Jane Tanner, one of the McCann's friends, claimed to have seen a man carrying a small blonde child wrapped in a blanket, walking near the apartment around 9:30 p.m. Half an hour before Kate noticed Madeleine was missing. As news of the disappearance spread, the search effort grew rapidly. Helicopters, divers, flyers, and an unprecedented international mobilization came together in just days. But the girl remained missing. And what shocked the most was the lack of any physical trace. No sounds heard, no useful CCTV footage, no reliable witness. Madeleine McCann had vanished in silence, and the world was about to enter a maze with no exit. In the days following the disappearance, the investigation faced serious obstacles: lack of solid evidence, conflicting witness accounts, and procedural missteps that compromised the early leads. Portugal's Polícia Judiciária conducted the first interrogations, but it quickly became clear that the apartment had been heavily contaminated, handled by volunteers, journalists, and even family members. An irreversible error at what could have been a crime scene. The main visual clue came from Jane Tanner's testimony. She claimed to have seen a man carrying a small blonde child wrapped in a blanket along a side street near the apartment. He wore beige trousers and a dark jacket. Her information was initially disregarded but gained importance later. Though no definitive outcome followed, years later, it was revealed that the man was likely a British tourist carrying his own child. The lead dissolved. 2 weeks later, British cadaver and blood detection dogs were brought in. One dog alerted to the scent of a corpse behind the apartment's sofa, and in the trunk of a rental car the McCanns used weeks after Madeleine disappeared. The second dog indicated traces of blood. These findings were unsettling, but the DNA extracted was mixed and inconclusive. Forensic experts could not definitively link the samples to Madeleine. Another critical lead came from an e-fit released much later, based on a separate witness who had seen a suspicious-looking man watching children around the resort days before the disappearance. That individual was never identified. The delay in publishing the sketch sparked criticism of the Portuguese authorities and highlighted growing tension between them and the British investigators assisting with the case. Meanwhile, new theories multiplied. Some suggested an abduction linked to child trafficking. Others speculated that Madeleine had died accidentally and the incident was covered up. The press began portraying Kate and Jerry McCann as ambiguous figures. In September 2007, both were officially named arguas, formal suspects, primarily due to the dogs' alerts and alleged inconsistencies in their statements. Yet despite mounting pressure and public scrutiny, no conclusive evidence was presented. The McCanns returned to England, and the Portuguese investigation was archived in 2008 for lack of proof. The case had stalled, suspended between unconfirmed clues and a complete absence of definitive answers. In 2008, just over a year after the disappearance, the Portuguese investigation was officially archived, and the McCanns were cleared as formal suspects. With no conclusive evidence and a public increasingly divided, the case cooled. Yet Kate and Jerry McCann continued the search for their daughter. They launched a website, hired private investigators, and participated in interviews and campaigns, determined to keep Madeleine's image and the case alive. Over the following years, scattered reports of sightings surfaced from South America to Morocco, but each was ruled out. In 2011, at the request of then Prime Minister David Cameron, Scotland Yard reopened the case under Operation Grange, with a fresh team tasked with reviewing all previous evidence. Hundreds of leads were re-examined, but for years, no breakthroughs occurred. Then, in 2020, a dramatic development emerged. German authorities announced they had a new suspect, Christian Brickner, a German citizen with a criminal record that included child abuse and drug trafficking. He had been in Portugal at the time of Madeleine's disappearance, and cell phone data placed him near the resort on the night of May. Already serving a sentence for unrelated crimes, Brickner denied involvement, yet German prosecutors stated publicly that Madeleine is dead, a claim her parents refused to accept. Despite a formal indictment in 2022, no irrefutable material evidence has been presented against Brickner. There is no DNA, no direct witness, no confession. What remains is a combination of circumstantial elements, criminal history, and suspicious behavior. This new lead reignited the global debate, split between hope and doubt. Meanwhile, Kate and Jerry have never stopped to believing that Madeleine might still be alive. On each anniversary, age-progressed images created by forensic artists are released, attempting to show what she might look like today. The little girl with the striking eyes has evolved into a symbol of persistence, heartbreak, and the yearning for truth. The case today stands as a mirror of modern complexity, globalized, hyper-connected, and yet still unable to find one child among billions of faces. In 2025, Madeleine McCann remains a name that carries the weight of absence, and a question that continues to echo unanswered. Where is Madeleine? What haunts most about the Madeleine McCann case is not just the absence of answers. It's the idea that the person responsible may have continued life unnoticed and unpunished. For years, the case remained suspended in speculation, with scattered clues and many persons of interest. But no formal indictment. The arrest of Christian Brickner reignited hope. But to this day, there has been no trial to establish the truth. Brickner, currently imprisoned in Germany for unrelated crimes, has a lengthy history of offenses, including child abuse and possession of child pornography. He lived a transient life, with multiple arrests and reports linking him to criminal networks. German prosecutors have described him as a highly dangerous criminal, matching the profile of an opportunistic child abductor. Still, the line between suspicion and evidence has not yet been crossed. The case remains officially unsolved. If it wasn't Brickner, then who was it? The lack of definitive evidence has allowed multiple theories to persist. Some still believe the crime occurred within the resort's circle. Others suggest Madeleine was trafficked across borders and may still be alive. And some, though fewer in number, revisit the theory of accidental death and cover-up, fueled by inconsistencies in statements and the unsettling reactions from cadaver dogs years ago. With no resolution, the perpetrator or perpetrators remain in the shadow. The idea of impunity is perhaps the cruelest element of all. A 3-year-old girl vanished, and the world watched as the pursuit of justice dissolved into diplomatic dead ends, media noise and forensic frustration. Today, nearly 2 decades later, Madeleine's image still endures, but the silence surrounding the culprit is louder than ever. If that person is still alive, they may be walking freely under another name in another country, perhaps even watching the global storm they caused, without having said a single word. The deepest fear isn't just not knowing where Madeleine is, it's knowing that whoever took her never paid for it. In 2025, the disappearance of Madeleine McCann remains one of the most iconic and widely discussed cases in the world. Nearly 2 decades after that night in Portugal, Maddie's name continues to surface in documentaries, books, amateur investigations, and online forums dedicated to solving what many call the greatest criminal mystery of the internet era. The pursuit of truth has not faded, only changed form. Christian Brickner remains the focal point of the investigation. Amid ongoing legal proceedings, he is still serving time in Germany for unrelated crime. Authorities continue to claim they have strong evidence connecting him to Madeleine's disappearance, but so far, no forensic proof or direct witness has emerged. In 2024, the Portuguese justice system allowed the formal reopening of the case based on international cooperation, yet concrete results remain elusive. Meanwhile, public interest is undiminished. A new generation has discovered the case through platforms like TikTok, where theories, reconstructions, and speculation thrive. At the same time, Madeleine's parents remain quietly engaged in the search. Kate and Jerry McCann, now more removed from the media spotlight, still maintain the official campaign website and regularly thank the public for ongoing tips, though few are truly promising. Madeleine's age-progressed portraits, updated with facial aging technology, now depict a young woman of 21. These images appear in airports, online campaigns, and public service announcements about missing children. Her parents continue to say that without definitive proof of death, they choose to believe she is alive. Today, the case reflects the paradoxes of our time. A world connected by information, yet powerless to locate one child. In 2025, Madeleine McCann remains a name charged with meaning, sorrow, and the enduring question, one that has never found an answer. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann is not just a family tragedy. It is a painful portrait of human vulnerability in the face of mystery, error, and silence. A 3-year-old girl, sleeping peacefully on a family holiday, vanished before the world's eyes, and despite international police efforts, forensic analysis, and global awareness, the answer has never come. This case exposed the flaws of cross-border cooperation, the failures of authorities, the corrosive power of public speculation, and the blurred line between justice and spectacle. It also revealed the resilience of parents who, amid grief and doubt, never stopped searching. But perhaps most striking is that, even after all these years, Madeleine's story remains alive, because there can be no closure where there has never been truth. If you believe this case still deserves justice, share this video. Keep Madeleine's memory alive. Subscribe to the channel, like this content, and tell us in the comments, do you think we'll ever find out what happened to Madeleine McCann?